And hey everybody, what's up? DJ Yokley from YSN Live, dropping in at the Stone Fruit Coffee Studios in Poland, Ohio for the DOYO Live Marketing Show presented by Lift Marketing on a March Madness Friday. Woo!
You talk about madness.
I'm repping my, and for those of you who do not know who number 20 is, that's right, Sherman the General Douglas. I'm a huge March Madness fan, DJ. That fascination started with me in about 1984, 85. I left school, went to my grandmother's house in Lowville, Ohio, and I'm watching Dwayne Pearl Washington from the Cuse go off in Madison Square Garden, and I absolutely fell in love with basketball. Got the basketball Jones from there, and every year I bail out of work, I bail out of school, play hooky. I just get locked in on the tournament. And yourself?
Isn't it funny how we all have those moments that got us obsessed with sports in some way? Like you talk about that moment, and I'm remembering how I got obsessed with baseball, right? My family didn't have satellite until I was in 7th grade, right? So I'm like watching the Pirates whenever I can, Barry Bonds-esque. That's when I got my love for the Pirates. But then we got satellite, and then I was an Indians fan because we got all the Indians games, right? So Albert Bell was my guy, still is this day, and then we lost the Indians from satellite, and we got back to the Pirates. So March Madness, I have a love and a hate for, and especially this year, a hate for it because it's so up in the air all the time, and obviously with the brackets, everybody's brackets busted by this point. I think I have Villanova winning it, but somehow that's the only team I have left. Like that is it. St. Peter's absolutely screwed me. So I just threw my bracket away.
The Cary Grant of basketball, right, Jay?
And it's only going to get worse for me.
So I actually took notes today because DJ Yokley's from YSN Live. For those of you that do not know, and he is the voice of, I would say, high school youth sports in the Mahoning Valley, absolutely for sure. So you are in the media. You have multiple shows. I was actually so hyped up last night. I usually do not do this. 300 plus shows of DOYO Live Marketing Show. I've never done this. I actually wrote stuff down because I was like, oh my God, I got DJ coming in. So we're gonna talk Major League Baseball. We're gonna talk about the shift. Controversy. We're gonna talk about fall-off fan support of Major League Baseball and the school strike thing that got worked out. Pirates, we're getting into that. Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you're a fan, but I'm a huge fan. Then we're going to dive back into the March Madness conversation. We've got a quick thing on Cooking with Crows, and we'll jump into some local sports. So thank you, everybody, for dropping on by today. Really appreciate it. Let's get into March. Let's put March Madness on the shelf for just a minute. Let's talk Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Glad to see the boys are back playing.
Yes.
The strike was not really good for business in a lot of ways, and it's really weird because you cover so many high school sports. You covered, thank God, you covered Little League Baseball last summer. You know, we saw you out at Boardman.
Yeah.
My kids playing, and it was really good to see you there. And thank you for stepping up to do that. So baseball is really well and alive in America. In with teenagers and youth, but there's this major fall off with Major League Baseball for some ungodly reason. I don't know why. They're top. If you go beyond Mike Trout and Tatis, it's like I don't even know. Like you could start to name guys that would come into this coffee shop right now, and you'd be like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
But let's talk for a minute about the shift. That's very controversial, right? So where do you stand on the shift?
Well, you know where I stand on the shift. You know where I stand on the shift. As a baseball junkie, I hate it. I hate the fact that they're banning the shift. I think you got 9 guys out there playing wherever the heck you want.
Yeah.
Because it's called strategy, right? In business, and I always compare business in baseball because I think there's no more direct correlation to a sport and business. For me, it's if you're willing to roll the dice and you want to put 9 guys on the right side of the field because I can't get it to the left, that's a great strategy.
Right.
Strategy. You got to make the offense adjust. What we're seeing is the basically, and I've been telling everybody within our walls, is by banning the shift, what you're essentially saying is the pitcher isn't good enough to get the job done by himself or herself. If it's the females are invading the game as well now too, which is great. I don't like it because that's like saying, hey, Dennis, you are great at marketing, but you can't do any digital marketing. They're taking away one of your tools out of your toolbox.
Right.
Why is the defense being punished for what the offense can't do? They don't say you can't bunt. They don't say, well, you can't hit it the opposite way. If it's an outside pitch, you can't go to right field if you're a right-handed hitter. I don't understand. By making more rules, baseball's already disconnected from its fans. And I think being able to drop down a bunt we've seen it where everybody's over there. There's no third baseman or shortstop, and they just drop down a bunt on the third base side. They got a free base. Especially in postseason, that's what makes baseball exciting. It's your best against their best. It's who's got the checkmate at that certain point. And by baseball doing this, I think it's a bad idea. But I know they took away the Texas shootout for like 3 weeks. It's back, baby. I love the Texas shootout. I love it.
So we'll go to the Texas shootout in just a second because it really feels like a travel tournament on the weekends. Full count. You get one pitch on second.
Oh, like the softball, you get one pitch.
I've seen it in youth travel games.
3-2 count.
2-2 count.
2-2 count.
2-2 count to the plate, and that's pretty much it.
They're just telling you to get off the field, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So we went down to see the Pirates and the Dodgers play last summer, day game. I walked in. My kids are huge into baseball. My sister and her kids came with us. We had great seats. We were like right behind home plate. And second pitch, Mookie Betts goes yard. I'm dad of the year. It was amazing. He actually had an amazing game. He threw a guy out from right field. It literally it was amazing. But what was really interesting when you go there and you watch a game, the Pirates had two shortstops on the left side of the field, right? So they have their shortstop, and the third baseman is no longer. So Dodgers have Justin Turner down at third,
right? And
it's very apparent watching him. So he got hit by a pitch, and I think he walked. And when he walked to first, like he took his gear off in the box. He walked to first. He was on the bases. There was an out. He took his gear off. He sat there and waited for somebody to run his glove out, right? Not the greatest example for young kids when you're talking about, right? But the Pirates had on third base, they had what I would call another shortstop. The game has changed immensely. So your third baseman was Justin Turner, prototypical big guy, doesn't move well. Here's your corners. But now the Pirates, the way that they played it, and they weren't playing the shift, but they had two shortstops at third base or on the left side of the field.
Well, and the Pirates are built for the shift. The Pirates are built for so much because they don't bring in players that can only play one position. They bring in players that can play 2 or 3 positions, which is kind of weird because that's the same way the Steelers are doing now. You look at their offensive line, you can't just play center. You have to play center and guard, or guard and tackle, or tackle and tight end. But it's one of those things where, you're getting the most bang for your buck. I like why I'm a Pirates fan is the Pirates, this is going to sound good and bad. The Pirates are the closest thing to a minor league baseball team that we have in the majors. And that's good and bad, right? So, we always wonder what we would look like if we would go and hit against Clayton Kershaw. All you have to do is watch a Pirates game and figure it out because we're like 2 steps away. But the Pirates are also the guys, you talk about Turner just handing his stuff over in big leaguing.
Yeah.
And what we talk about. Pirates don't do that. Pirates they're running 90 feet every single time. You know, if it's a pop fly, they're still running it out. That's what I love about the Pirates. At some point, I feel like it's going to pay off. And we have these small windows of opportunity, and the Guardians are going through that now because they are selling off all their good players, and they're going to have to go in their farm system now the way they did in 94, 95 when you had Bell and Lofton and Baerga, all those guys. So they're hit the reset button. The shift to me is an equalizer because you can get it done as much up here in the clubhouse, and it translates to the field.
I struggle with putting a rule in place that a major league hitter should be able to spray the ball all around the yard wherever they want.
It should be.
And I heard the argument, well, pitchers are so good now, but the hitters are so good now too.
Yep.
And so and you mentioned the Guardians. So, I still call it the Jake.
Sure, I do too.
So I'm going to struggle. And then you're in the sports media, so you're obviously you're going to assimilate.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are going to struggle with that transformation. And it's a difficult one, I think, for a lot of people to wrap their minds around, as now it becomes real when you hear the game being broadcasted. They're going to say Guardians 1,000 times a game.
And they're going to do that. You're going to see it a lot in the first 2 or 3 weeks. They're going to say Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
Or they're going to kind of give themselves cover and just say Cleveland. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the big thing, because the last thing you want to say is that I word nowadays, because it's not correct and somebody's going to call you out for it. We have our show every day, and I said the Indians the other day, and immediately I got on StreamYard. I'm like, I didn't even realize I said it. You're
like, thank God people are watching.
Yeah, it's good and bad, right? It's like the Pirates. You're a minor league baseball team, but you're also a major league baseball team. But it's one of those things where, Cleveland fans are so hungry right now for a winner that, the Cavs are in sixth place, I think, right now in the East. And, I'm hearing they're going to win the NBA championship. And I'm like, all right, we can't temper that feeling of wanting that championship. It's good.
Yeah.
But you know that you're going to have to go through the best in the East and the best in the West to get there. The Guardians aren't there. Like, they're not there. And the Browns,
who knows?
My gosh.
It's funny though. So I grew up a Pirates fan. I was going down the Three Rivers to watch Andy Van Slyke, Barry Bonzi play, Bobby Bonilla, Mike LaValliere, and
Spanky.
And we would we would go. One time we got so lucky, we got to sit in a private box. And the owner left about the 5th or 6th inning. They were playing the Braves. David Justice was with the Braves. And the game went 17 innings. We stayed the entire time. We were not leaving that
awesome.
game. And so, I still laminate over Barry Bonds not being able to throw out Francisco Cabrera running from second to home, right? And
Sid Bream.
Sid Brink.
Yeah.
Francisco was up at the plate.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I go way back with it all. Barry Bonds used to do this amazing thing though. So he would be warming up. This is skinny Barry Bonds.
Oh yeah.
And he would be warming up, and then after he got done warming up, he would throw the ball in Three Rivers Stadium to the upper deck.
Yep.
And the ball would just land softly in somebody's hands, right field. He was an amazing athlete.
And most people don't realize that. I mean, when people think of baseball players, and this goes all the way back to when I was in high school, they think lazy, right? They think that zero talent, you can hit a ball or whatever, good for you. You can run 90 feet at a time. There's no real talent that takes. In baseball, to me, there's a lot more hand-eye coordination. Second only, I would argue, to hockey. Yeah. And probably the second hardest sport I think there is in the world is baseball. Hockey, you win because you're dancing on rollerblades. You know what I mean? You're on ice skates, you're on butter knives, whatever you want to call it. Anything you do on ice, you're already at an advantage for being the toughest sport. But baseball, to square up a round ball that's coming at you 99, 100 miles an hour, and you talk about, these pitchers are so good now. I mean, they don't take you if you're not throwing above 90. Yeah. I mean, look at D1 baseball. They don't even, when lefties were coming, lefties, if you could throw 80 and you're a lefty, you were on your way to the pros.
Right.
And now it's, if you don't hit 90 on the gun, good luck. Good luck, because you better be able to dot up every pitch that you throw for that one inning or one out that you're going to get.
Right.
And, when you look at the grand scheme of baseball, I think it's you talk about Barry Bonds throwing up to that. He probably knew exactly where that ball was going, and it landed exactly where he wanted it to every single time.
Yeah.
The hand-eye coordination, the accuracy that you have to be at the major league level. And we're starting to see, you get the Prince Fielders and the Cecil Fielders that are a little bit chubby. But those guys can also hit the ball 500 feet.
Yep.
Something that I can't do,
Yep.
you know? And we talked about it on our show the other day. When I go to a sporting event, I want to see something that I can't do. Like if I wanted to go, like honestly, people talk about steroid era, like in what, 97 with McGuire and Sosa, the golden age of baseball to me. I didn't care. I was a little kid. My parents were like, okay, but understand that these are genetically enhanced. And I'm like, nobody cares, man. He's hitting the ball off the Budweiser sign in Cleveland.
They saved baseball.
They did.
But bottom line. You know, it's funny that you say that because, like, when I would go to watch the Cavs play occasionally, like coming up, you go there and I would go there like real early to watch warm-ups, and you'd see professional basketball players warming up, not missing a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was incredible. And the same thing when you go to baseball. One of the most impressive things, if you've never been to a Major League Baseball game, is to get there early and watch Major League Baseball players just throw the ball. Their long toss is a step, and it's a laser about 8 feet off the ground across the outfield.
Yep.
Right? It's like, and the other guy's like, and then he's like, and it's,
you can hear it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy that a human being is like able to do that.
When I saw Derek Jeter do it, now Derek Jeter is one of the most renowned shortstops of all time, but the knock on him was always he didn't have a strong enough arm.
Yeah.
So you watch him and A-Rod warm up in pregame, and they're throwing pole to pole, and there's no lollipopping. This is like you said, 8 feet from the ground. It's sizzling the entire way across on a line, on a P-Rod, zip line, all the way over, and the guy just kind of throws his glove up like this, catches it, and does it again. It's amazing to see what real athletes look like. And what I love about what we do at YSN to kind of tie us in is every once in a while you see a kid and you just go, he's got it. Like he or she has it.
So you guys just re-upped your deal with Youngstown State University baseball.
Yep.
So you're covering all the games, or is
that
the deal?
Yeah, we're in West Virginia right now.
Yeah.
Richie and Anthony Romo. Everybody knows Richie Giuliano is our ace. I mean, he's our Shohei Ohtani. He can do it all. And the next coming is the guy that's with him now, is Anthony Romo. They're traveling the country with YSU, and we've been so fortunate with Danny Bertolini being in charge to have him kind of let our guys saddle up with them and get the real stories. And that's what makes our broadcasts so good. Is Richie is traveling with the team, he's staying with the team, he's riding with the team in a lot of cases, and he's getting that background story that we grow up in baseball. The Tom Hamiltons of the world, he's hanging out in the locker room because he wants the real vibe of what's going on with this guy. And can you see if a hitter's in a slump, is it because his girlfriend just broke up with him, or is he just in a bad mood today or stuff like that? Richie's got that covered. And, we've been very fortunate because I really believe in baseball, number one, but Danny has really taken the Jim Tressel approach of planting the flag here locally.
Oh, yeah.
And going and getting all of our baseball players.
So, and if you really like baseball, and I do, and we have a vested interest, we've got 2 YSU baseball players living on our block.
Yep.
And it's absolutely amazing. I've encouraged my boys to be almost gnats to the point where the O'Shaughnessy boys, Braden and Pad, have to chase my kids away. And just wonderful people. Kathy and Mike have done a wonderful job as role models. As a parent, like I watch them and I'm like, hopefully we can get half of this right. Yeah. Mikey, my oldest, will text Braden religiously.
Yeah.
Film my swing. Braden gives him notes back. Like it's phenomenal. But when you say that it factor, he came up playing with my nephew, and I went and saw them play baseball at like 9, 10 years old. And there's this kid making plays on a field at 9 and 10, and he was doing things that you couldn't teach a kid at 9 and 10. I was like, that kid's going to be good one day. Like,
but he's got the it factor, and you're like, oh my gosh, But the thing is we always take those kids, and what's sad about it is we have so many great universities, D1 universities, so close to home. You got YSU, Akron, and Kent State that are all in our backyard, and we also have Westminster and Teal, and really, if you stretch it out, W and J, and all these smaller universities that are still a good spot to go. And the problem, I think, with not just where we're at, but seeing it from a very close level of YSN, is there's this expectation that you have to be D1. You have to be D1 talent. I'm not saying don't go out there and be the best you can, but if you're a D2 talent or D3 talent, listen, you're still better than 93% of the people who played that game.
Right. Here's the deal. So I think that there's so many people that are out there today. And like, I talk with a lot of young athletes, and I needed college athletics, one, to get me to college, and number two, to stay disciplined to graduate. Right. And I think it was between my junior and senior year, I figured out like I wasn't going to the NBA. I was shooting for Duke. Right. But they had a point guard at the time named Bobby Hurley. He was a little better than me. And it took me a few years to figure that out. And so my failure was going to Walsh, which is now Division II. And I tell young athletes all the time, I'm like, look, I never told anybody outward, like, I want to go play college basketball. But every day from the time I was like 13 years old on, I wanted to be on March Madness. Like, I wanted to be on One Shining Moment. So that was the goal. That was the burn. That was the fire. I was like, you don't have to tell people your goal, but you got to live it every day. Like, every day you have to do something to take that up. And whatever level you're playing, it's it's only going to serve you very well in life. That same fight that I had to have to be on the team, to keep my position every year that they recruit, they're doing it at the Division II level. They're recruiting guys every day to come and take your spot.
With scholarships.
So every year you're fighting for your spot. And all that fight that I had is the same fight that I apply to my business every day. And I'll hire a college athlete in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
If they even went and JUCO's a great route. I mean, you look at what Pat's doing now with YSU. Dan came from a lot of the coaches came through Mercyhurst Junior College. So it's like, it's a great route, and you should absolutely not overlook that.
No, and parents, you want to talk about choppy waters. The biggest thing nowadays is this transfer portal, and the true recruitment of a high school athlete has changed forever.
So what do you think? I think that NIL is also obviously going to play into it, because now you're seeing like the big boys saying, hey, so-and-so signed their first $2 million deal. Like, you come to Alabama, you come to Ohio State, our guys are getting these deals. And I agree with it, by the way. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think college, if truly college is about preparing yourself for that professional life, then absolutely, right? What do you think about the transfer portal?
It's a double-edged sword. I like it on one hand, because I think it gives – because the way it was brought about, it was hand in hand with the NIL, right? So if you like March Madness this year, with all these upsets and all these teams being able to put solid teams together to play a Duke or to play a Kentucky or to play Iowa, it's going to be that in every sport from now on. And I like it. And I like what you said, because these smaller schools have guys like us that were uber competitive, maybe didn't make the game day roster for the games that were on ABC and ESPN and things of that nature. But now they're very successful business people that can go and do an NIL with a kid and take that kid from going to Baylor or going to Kentucky and have him go to a smaller school. And all of a sudden you got the Deion Sanders effect, which you've got kids you got 11 guys on the football field, which are D1 athletes, studs, that want to get more money for themselves than they could ever pay in scholarships. It evens the playing field. But it troubles me, because you and I know that if we had $1 million, Quinn Ewers, right, at Ohio State, dude got 1.3 mil. What would you do at 18 years old with $1.3 million? It worries me, because at the end of the day, I think that there's going to be more tragedy stories. You look at these people that win the lottery. A lot of times they make all that money, they win all that money, and it's gone, and they're broke, and they're on the streets.
Yeah.
And all that. I worry about these athletes because we know that not all athletes are built the same. They're not all built and equipped with a mind. Competition-wise, they're the most competitive dudes and chicks you'll ever see in your life. But they're not all built ready at 18 years old to put that into a bank because they want to go out and get a Ferrari or go. LeBron, remember when he got a Hummer?
Got the Hummer.
20 years later, he's on a Hummer commercial. I told my wife I was so peed off.
That's right.
I was like, that dude got crushed for having a Hummer when he went into the league, and now he's on a Hummer commercial?
And throwback jerseys.
Yes. Unbelievable.
Number one, so coaches are allowed to fluctuate around. There's a lot of shitty things that go on in college sports where, pulling scholarships. It's a horrible deal, right? So this is empowering kids. I know actually it's impacting all levels. So like the guy was an assistant coach when I was at Walsh, has now been the head coach. Just got his, I think, 300th win. We went to a game this past winter, and we're talking, and he's got guys that are leaving, entering the portal, and they're going D1. There was one kid that went to Toledo and was all MAC. So he was at the D2 level. He goes to the MAC and is all MAC. So you can imagine how good that kid was at the D2 level. And then another kid went to the Sun Belt Athletic Conference, and he was like Player of the Year from a Division II. And he said that the only thing that he can do to combat it is that if a player comes to him and says, hey, I'm going to enter the portal, he has to say, and the kid says, can I come back if nothing works out? He's like, you enter the portal, you're gone, and I have to replace you.
Yeah.
And so that's that. Hopefully, like if you run, it's like, hey, keep a client, bring them value, and they'll always want to be with you. Same thing for kids. But it has created this situation that college coaches have to be more mindful.
I don't business.
I like the Alabama mentality for a certain aspect of the quarterback that was there this past year that stayed and didn't leave, because the other alternative for a lot of kids too is like, I'm not going to see the field, I'm out. And I don't know that I'd want to stick around for 4 years and play the backup role when I could go to maybe another school and I could be a starter.
Yep. Like
Spencer Rattler was a Heisman hopeful. Freshman comes in and takes his job. Why would I want to stick around? I get both sides of it. Like I don't want to. You don't want to see kids run and shy away from competition. But the same note, you show up for camp and there's like 10 guys in your position. You're like, well, I'm never going to see the field. I just want to play.
Yeah, it's a troublesome situation because the algorithm doesn't make sense for high school athletes anymore, right? Because the same amount of scholarships are now available,
Yep.
But now coaches can dip into the portal, and you don't have to teach a kid who's 18 how to be a college athlete, how to go to college, how to react in college. The guesswork's out of it, because if you're let's say you're a college baseball coach and you go in and you can see a sophomore that wants to get out, you go and talk to that kid because he's already gone through the college adaptation process.
Sure. Yeah.
He's lived on his own for a year. He's away from mom and dad. He's doing all this stuff. He understands how to live independently. And you go get him. And if he's the same or even a little bit worse than a high school athlete,
yep.
The guesswork's out of it.
Yep.
Because people don't realize how much change happens from that senior year to that freshman year.
COVID backed everything up like 2 years. So I figured it out that my 7th grader, it will equal itself out by the time he's coming out of high school.
You hope.
And for those of you that don't understand the jump to college athletics, so I went the JUCO route, and then I went and I ended up walking on at Walsh. There's 5 point guards ahead of me. I had a walk on. Ended up being the backup point guard to an All-American my first year, and sat the bench the entire season. It's a tough pill to swallow, DJ. Like, I was the man in high school, right? Like, I never left the floor.
Big fish,
dropped 15 points, 8 assists a game. Started at my junior college, and then all of a sudden now I'm sitting the bench. My first open gym, I remember I put the move on. It was like my move. I did shake the guy. one of the big men was down underneath the hoop. I'm 16 feet away. I go to pull up for a jumper, and he sends it back across half court.
He sent it back home.
I was like, I'm not going to be able to play here.
Yeah.
Or I remember sitting on the sideline as a guy that would go in and give the All-American a minute or two break and watching the pace of the game at that level go up and down. And I would be like, holy shit, like this is about to get really real quick, because these are like grown men running up and down the floor, and that's a fast-paced game. Like, I can't believe I'm going into this game right now.
Well, people talk about the difference in 14-year-olds, a freshman in high school, and 18-year-olds, right? That's nothing compared to being an 18-year-old and facing off right now against a 25-year-old because they get a couple extra years because of COVID. Think about the adjustment your body goes through, the muscles that you didn't have when you were 18 that you do when you're 25.
Yep.
And that's what you're dealing with. And it doesn't matter the sport. I mean, basketball, that's an extra 10 pounds of muscle that they don't care. And they're boxing you out. From your standpoint, that's another, 6 years that they can get up and swat that ball back to, pack it up and send it home.
Yeah.
The biggest adjustment that I think parents and players don't understand is the amount that players are coddled in high school with having to not have to be independent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So mom's washing your jersey, dad's making sure you're getting up and out of bed in the morning and getting to practice on time and things like that. They make sure you have a Gatorade when you go to your game. If you need a Gatorade in the middle of the game, you just kind of wave down and hey, I'm a little thirsty.
It's almost like DoorDash.
Yeah, and parents do that. And, having dad next to the dugout and like the biggest adjustment, and I'm not saying that everyone's like this, my parents were always down the way.
Yeah.
And if I needed something, you should have brought it. And what I didn't realize then that I realize now is they were getting me ready for going to college. I didn't want to go. Baseball is the only thing that led me to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'll chase this dream wherever I have to go in order to be a Major League Baseball player. Like you, halfway through my junior year, I was like, man, I don't think the Marlins are looking for a 5'4.5" catcher. That's that guy. So you make that adjustment and then you go through it. And the problem now is parents are so pass and fail. It's not A, B, C, D, or A, B, C, D, F. It's pass and fail. Did you get your dream of being, we dumped thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into you being a baseball player.
Yeah.
You're not a baseball player. What happened? Well, it doesn't work like that, and we are, personal plug, we're creating something that's going to launch on April 2nd, which is going to be called YSN Prospect. It's something we've had for a long time coming.
Yeah. Breaking news on the Do Live Marketing Show. DJ Yokley's got something coming out April 2nd.
Yep. So we're building YSN Prospect. It's been 2 years in the making. We announced it 2 years ago, right at COVID. And then everything changed.
Yeah.
Everything changed. You're not allowed to go to training camps. You're not allowed to do any of this stuff anymore. But with that change, we were able to study and understand better how the recruitment process is nowadays. We are not a recruitment resource per se. We're not going to help you get recruited from that end. We are a recruitment advocacy service. So we're taking what we built with YSN and the streaming. So if you got videos on YSN, we can directly pull them over and correlate onto your own personal page as a prospect. The green light and the red light is 7th grade all the way to your senior year, halfway through your senior year. We're talking about the portal and stuff like that and being able to build your page, when you're in college. But the reality for us in this advocacy and YSN Prospect is letting kids understand how to go and get money for college, to get them to college, to get them a degree, not necessarily always be a D1 athlete, because the reality is you get 93% of us are not good enough to play college sports at any level.
Right.
The 7% are. And the majority of that is D3. It's the 6% that go on and they're D3, JUCO, maybe D2, and the 1% are D1 athletes.
Yep.
Out of that 1%, half of them drop out, or half of them do not finish sports through college. So we're looking to focus in on these kids and kind of navigate the choppy waters that are the recruitment process, the transfer process, understanding the FAFSA, understanding what a coach is looking for when you, instead of going to these recruitment places, because parents will spend $10,000-$20,000 just to have their kid recruited by the same people that you can send an email to and get recruited yourself. So I'm sitting there and we're talking in the office one day, and a parent tells me they spent $12,000 on a recruitment service from the time that they were freshmen to the time they were juniors.
I'm sorry.
So that's $4,000 a year that they got a $5,000 scholarship overall to go to college to play. And I'm thinking to myself, you just lost $7,000.
Right.
You lost $7,000 by doing this recruitment service. The faster people realize recruitment services are there to just put if this is a tape of you, right? They put your name on the tape and they send it with 70 other tapes to the same colleges and they just cash your check.
Right.
That's what happens. We're not there. We want to put you, the athlete, the parent, in control of your own site. So it's a one-stop shop for these coaches to swing by and go, okay, little Johnny has a 2.5 GPA. He's out. I'm not dealing with having to put him in, chambers with a tutor or things like that, or study tables. Little Susie has a 4.0 GPA. All of a sudden, bam, she's in. She checked the first box. Oh, she also plays shortstop at second base. She checks the second box. Also has $40,000 worth of scholarships. I don't have to pay her. Checks the third box. Things like that we want to know what they're majoring in. Because coaches, a lot of times when you look at who they're trying to recruit, if you want to be a broadcast major and they don't have a broadcast program, it's not a good match.
Right. It's not a good match.
They'll be like, oh, you know what? We don't have broadcasting, but we have business.
Right.
Unless you're DJ Yokley, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, But like we got basket weaving and we got this and just come here and try it out. And that's where the parents are more happy because the kids are going to a D1 and then regulating like, okay, my son or daughter needs to go to another school, whether it's D2 or D3.
Right. They'll
get paid out the same through the packages, but they also get the education that they wanted to have.
Right.
And 33%, this, 33% of kids that graduate with a degree only work in what they graduated with.
Right.
So that's almost 70% of people are going to do something different than they graduated with.
Totally different.
But at the end of the day, you have the degree, number one, which is what everybody's looking for. So when you go on a job review or look for an interview, they say, do you have a degree? Yeah, I got a degree. What is it? They never go, what is it in?
What is it in, right?
Because they don't care. It's that degree.
Right.
You get it. And for us, we understand that if you're interested in that degree, like if you're interested in business, you're going to do a lot better in school. And you can say, hey, oh, by the way, I was magna cum laude at so-and-so university.
Right.
That's a lot more impressive than saying that I graduated with a 1.9 GPA in beer drinking, on the weekends,
Right.
Stuff like that. But we believe at YSN, and we will always have, that it's always going to be about putting the best student athletes in the best situations.
Right.
And I believe as a D3 athlete, there's nothing wrong with the education that I received, the experience that I had,
right,
and like being able to actually go in with a little bit of knowledge and understanding when you're sitting down with those people that are in charge of your the financial advisors at the institutions. You go, okay, well, I got this on my FAFSA. I got this. I've got a 4.0 GPA. I have this. There's packages that you can present it so you're not in student debt the rest of your life.
Right.
Like you and I, you
Right.
know what I mean? I can't wait till next year whenever I can go done.
Done.
I can now go buy another house. So
Exactly.
it's exciting, and it's an exciting time for the Valley. We think that this is going to be something that really takes off, highlights our athletes. And then the other part of that is knowing more about our athletes. You and I are going to be able to go on to ysnprospect.com and see what Braden O'Shaughnessy's GPA is if he signs up, and see what he wants to major in, and see the colleges that have reached out to him and understand the interest level
Yep.
of where he's at. Because if a college reaches out to him, he has to tell us so we can put it on his page. And then all of a sudden you see it and you go, oh my gosh, Iowa is interested in Braden O'Shaughnessy or whoever this may be. So I'm excited about it. It's special to me. It has been for a long time. We've got the people in place. to make it really special. Rick Shepis is going to be a big and
Nice.
vital part of this. And he's been navigating that for a long time. So
Right.
having people that understand it, having people that are willing to go inside the schools and preach it and let people know that we're available and it's a resource. And really the top tier for a year, we're capping at $500. So for $500, you basically get your kid with a professional page that we run the flag up the flagpole for them. And we say, hey, coaches, come look at this kid. Come look at this boy, this girl.
See, I think that's an amazing thing. I think that the thing that I laugh about all the time, and I get it because people do vicariously live through their kids. I'm not one of those people. I had my shine. I got every ounce out of it that the good Lord gave me. Mm-hmm. Now I have a blueprint. I didn't have one, right? But my kids at least have a sounding board. Where it jumped off to me is when my kid so we got started late in baseball. Mm-hmm. My kid didn't start playing until he was 9.
Says screw T-ball, right?
We went straight into kid pitch. We didn't do T-ball. We don't do coach pitch in my house.
Was the first year rough?
So athletic, but yes, it was rough. But he closed the gap real quick.
Yep.
Like
but at that age, you can't.
At 9, he came to me and sat at the dinner table and said, "Dad," he's like, "I can't believe I didn't make the All-Star team." And I go, I can because I never saw you go out and practice on your own outside of a game.
Yep.
So don't ever expect these things to happen for you if you don't put it in the work. Me and my 9-year-old kid, right? That's me and that's a real
life lessons, baby.
Dose of reality.
Yep.
At 10, now he goes out, he tries out for a travel team. Thank God look, we paid the money, he made the team, but they also invested in a lot of practice with him. He develops at the end of the 10-year, at the end of 10, we started getting phone calls. It was really bizarre. Mm-hmm. It was like, what's Michael's plans? Like, I'm like, well, it's July and he's going to go be a kid the rest of the summer. And then the next call came in and the next call came. I'm like, holy shit, they're recruiting. It felt like I was 16 getting calls. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of parents too lean away from college athletics, right? And in our house, we're talking about it. We have too many kids. We have 4. I mean, and I love every one of them. We have 4 kids.
Yeah.
So we can't do we can't do it all. So I told him last year or 2 years ago, like I was like, look, this is on you guys. This is not on us.
Yeah.
You got to know your practice time.
Yep.
You got to know. You got to pack your bag. You got to do all this. You have to do it. We can't do this for you. Yeah. Michael's coach for baseball texts me, and I'm like, look, like Michael's 13. Like, here's his phone number. Michael, if there's a parent matter, like you could come to me.
Yeah.
But Michael, you handle your business with your coach.
Yep.
You learn to grow up.
Good for you.
Right. And that's like what we're doing in our house and this service that you have. Like, I mean, I don't think 13 is too young.
No.
Like, I think 13 is a great age to go and get on your platform and start to develop a habit. Because if you start at 16 or 17, it's too late.
You're already behind the 8 ball.
Right. Like, I don't, like you may not get recognized, but at least you got the habit. You got it figured out and you're pushing that. Let's switch gears for just 2 seconds. For those of you that do not follow the Savannah Bananas, I highly recommend that you follow the Savannah Bananas. Good for baseball, bad for baseball.
Amazing for baseball. I wish the Savannah Bananas were a Major League Baseball team so they could show MLB how it's done.
Yeah.
Fan engagement, right? We talked about the disconnect between Major League and its fans. You wouldn't know if someone walked in here and were a professional baseball player. You don't have that problem in the NFL. You don't have that problem in the UFC. You don't have that problem in the NBA.
Right.
That problem's only in baseball because bat flips are outrageous. And people are yelling, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't show up the pitcher." But the pitcher can throw a 99-mile-an-hour dart right at the between the nines and your number. The Savannah Bananas do it right because baseball is a game that we all play when we're 5 years old, right?
Right.
It's a game that we loved, and then whenever it gets boring and monotonous and troublesome, we do away with it because I can go celebrate first downs in football. Yeah. I can go do this guy in basketball when I hit a 3-pointer.
Which makes me crazy, by the way, making a 3-pointer in the first half and throwing up the 3 side. But I digress.
But
anyway,
it's not allowed to have a home run.
So the unwritten rules of baseball are like make me crazy.
Respect the game. I get respect the game, right? And I talk to so many coaches, and I respect the game of baseball.
Right.
But I also respect it enough to know that when you're being a stick in the mud, instead of like enjoying it. Like I loved being a catcher because I could be myself. I could say what the hell I want back there. I could make the umpires laugh. And it taught me so many things about life in the early going because I'll make a connection with the guy and I'm also protecting his ass.
Yeah.
Right. So you make, I mean, not to be, but now I'm 37. I can make some things. I think the statute of limitations is off on it. So I was the guy that you make some bad calls or you make some comments that you shouldn't, turn the glove down a little bit and the umpire gets pegged. And he understood and he'd call me a dick and all that stuff. And I'd say, listen, like you have to understand I'm protecting you back there. But at the same time, you build that reputation, you build that relationship with these umpires. It's like sales, right? You get better and better opportunities through the relationships that you have. And I'm a little salesman back there. I'm selling my pitcher. I'm selling my coach. You know, my coach gets a little too spouty. I don't know if Troy Burdine was my coach my senior year, Columbiana legend, who was coaching the Bulldogs. And he had a little bit of aggression. And I would sit there and be like, I hear you, man. You listen to the umpire. You're almost a shrink for him. But,
you know, my give back, I think I figured it out, is youth sports. So I coach a lot of youth sports, and my kids are obviously involved. But and so, you know, there's a lot of stick in the muds. There's a lot of guys that have given back to my kids that, but in the same note, like it's very like old white male, and they're just, and I don't get it. My kids have never worked out with any coaches, and I know kids that are 12 that are on their second, third hitting coach, right? I've gotten them to this point, and so this year is the first year we were working out with Coach Marinelli, Jake Marinelli down at YSU. I thought it was a great move to get them introduced to a college coach. He makes it fun for them. So he's got my 11-year-old, decent little catcher, small kid, and he's got him on one knee, right? If you look at catchers now, everybody's on one knee. Okay, Tony Pena did it back in the day. Like
everybody made fun of him.
Right. So he shows up at practice, and one of our coaches is like, "What's he doing on one knee?" And I'm like, "That's why I shoot baseball. Like he knows." And then they're like, "He should be on 2 feet." I'm like, "I don't know. Like it's what it is." Like
but that's it. Like everybody knows better than everybody else. And when you say, "Hey, listen," that's a college coach telling him. Because listen, when there's no runners on base, why are you exerting yourself? Like put the stool base down and let's go. You know, but if there's guys on base, I'm sure the Coach Marinelli is not going to be like, "Hey, get down on one knee," unless he's got an absolute cannon on his arm, and then do whatever the hell you want. Right. But like that's, and I don't want to. I don't know who that coach is that told you that from that standpoint, but like these kids are getting so confused because you got one coach that tells them one thing. That's literally the guy controls whether he gets recruited or not. And then another coach that says, "What the hell is that kid doing?" And a lot of times because they're embarrassed, the kid's going to listen to that other coach. You know, they're not going to, because that coach isn't there at their games and this coach is. And that coach is going to say, "Hey, get up on 2 feet." It's confusing the kids. And that's why we're trying, again, to let kids, like, I want more kids to be able to engage in YSN Prospect than I want parents making kids do it or doing it for them. Because I want kids to understand that when you put the time in yourself, there is going to be disappointment. If you think you're a D1 athlete and you're getting calls and letters from D2 and D3, there's a little disappointment in that. So you're either going to work harder or you're going to acknowledge that fact and you're going to go all in to quote on D2 and D3. And parents, they won't see it. And I know what's going to be waiting for us on the other side is the service doesn't work because my kid's not going D1. We hear it all the time. I mean, you hear it all the time. This kid's going to be D1. I heard the other day, one of the players, good player, good basketball player. This kid's going to go to Marshall. Like, no, he's not. Like he might be a Marshall someday for the law, but he's not going to Marshall. And, there's disappointment in parents' eyes when I'm not there to tell them whether their kid's good enough to go, but like this kid is not even the sixth man on the basketball team. And he's like, yeah, my kid's going to Marshall. Like, if you're not good enough to crack the starting lineup, you're not going to go to Marshall. Like, they have starters up and down from high school.
Right.
Like you and I talked about. When you walk in that room for the first time as a college athlete, and you're supposed to be the guy as they recruited you for, and there's 7 catchers in the room, and you just go, I just got bamboozled. I just got sold.
They didn't mention this.
Yeah, what happened? Like, I thought I was the guy. I was all county. I was all state. I was this. And then you walk in and you're like, hey, you were all state too. I remember seeing you. You. It's like Wizard of Oz. You were there, and you were there, and you were there. Coaches are going to tell you whatever it takes to get you to go there. Yeah. Because that's how – and then they weed you out from there.
Right.
That first week or two, they talk about first impressions.
How many – so I was probably one of those guys that I walked in, they probably didn't think that I was going to stick. But it's almost like Shawshank Redemption, right? So new fish, the first night, guys are crying. So you can smell it by the time you're a sophomore, but definitely a junior. You can smell it. Guy walks in, you're like, that guy's not going to make it to Christmas. That guy's not going to make it to Christmas. Yep. I took somebody's will. If I ever enter an AA program, it's probably one of the guys I'm going to have to call and apologize. They recruited a guy my senior year. I'm coming back. I'm going to be the captain of my college basketball team. Finally getting some money. I'm gonna play. Like I played a lot as a junior. I'm probably starting either that or splitting some time. And freshman comes in and he's dunking the basketball. He's about 6'2". He was good, like real good. And I was like, God damn! Like we're in an open gym in September before the season starts, and he like I blow by him, but he blew on me when I blew by him, and I'm like, dude, you foul me again like that, I'm coming for you. And he's like, 18-year-old kid, and here's me like I'm like, God damn it. So I do it again, and he didn't do anything, and I went after him, and I took his will, and all the confidence that he had left him, and he transferred after that year. I started, he never played, never took my position.
Took his soul, man.
But I did the team a favor too. Because is that the kid that you want at the end of a game? The season's coming down. Like you're in your tournament. You're trying to make your national tournament. Is that the kid you want in the backcourt?
No.
Or you want the guy that's willing to take somebody's will to go win a game?
And that's all the difference.
And that's college athletics.
And that's life, right?
And that's life.
And that's the thing that I love about nowadays is these. And don't take this the wrong way if you're out there and you're a college recruit, but earlier and earlier, you're learning the rules of life. Of just because you pay for something from a standpoint of cash doesn't mean that the equity is the same when you pay for something with your blood, sweat, tears, and that equity. You and I both know as business owners that there's going to be people that will try to knock you off your perch at every turn.
Yeah.
And it's not easy.
Sometimes it's inaudible as to you can feel people rooting against you, right? So so it's a really weird thing, but you do feel people like rooting against you, which is almost, and it's so much more gratifying and so much more motivating to me that they're betting against you.
100%.
Savannah Banana is good for baseball. If you don't follow them, get on TikTok, give them a look. It is so much fun. Cooking with Crows. This is a segment where we pay some bills.
Sure.
Do you do fish on Friday during the Lenten season or all the time?
I've become, I don't know why this year is different. So I was always like, okay, because I'm not Catholic. I was raised Lutheran. Now I'm non-denomination when I married my wife. And for this year, I've been obsessed with fish sandwiches and fish and all that stuff. It's been awesome.
Where do you pierogi fish sandwich? What are you doing on Friday? What are you doing for fish on Fridays? Where would you recommend any one of our listeners?
Oh, I would never recommend anywhere because I'm not that guy.
Okay,
right? But like Doyle's next to us in East Palestine,
Yeah.
they got a fish. It's not good, but it's fish. And like I've been so desperate some days, Dennis, that I've gone to like get a FOF over at McDonald's, a fillet of fish, and I'll chug that down. I don't know why. It's like just this year I'm obsessed with fish.
All right, so I actually made a Lenten promise to myself that I would cook at home through all of Lent. So in the Schrotti house, we're having linguine with clam sauce tonight.
You got an extra plate?
Absolutely,
Let's
always for you, my man. March Madness, your bracket's busted.
I still got Villanova. That's
everybody's bracket got beat up because obviously Kentucky got beat early. So games last night were really interesting. What do you think? What do you like going on the rest of the tournament here?
I at this point I'm riding out Villanova. I hope they take it. I can see the Duke connection.
Do you think that Coach K is going out the right way?
I do.
Okay.
I watching him last night and some of his stuff. Him talking about his kids, there was part of me that said he's not really hanging it up. Like it's going to be like
Tom Brady.
Yeah, and I think he is. I think he's going out and he's enjoying every minute of it, which I'm happy for him because he's been such a positive role model in the just from a coaching standpoint, let alone basketball.
See, I think Jim Calhoun is like in Rolly Massimino, maybe to a certain extent, but Jim Calhoun, like total basketball guy, went and coached the D3, started a program. I don't see Coach K doing that. What I did recognize last night during that game, and I've been a longtime Duke fan. Dwayne Pearl Washington, and then the Duke teams that went against UNLV. Those are like two of my favorite March Madness moments. I think that the kids at Duke this year are put into a really, really difficult situation.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you go to Duke, and like I listen to JJ Redick, and he's like, you don't know what you're signing up for until you get to Duke,
mm-hmm.
and you walk in, and there's all this media there and all these things going on. But the kids are put in a really tough situation because this is it, right? Coach K is done, and they're literally playing like every game is it. Like last night, I'm looking at Texas Tech. I don't even know who their coach is now. I'm like, you can't go out to that guy. Like this guy's thinking to himself, I'm a retired Coach K.
Yep.
And so I think they're put in a tough spot.
They are, but at the same time, they're playing for him. They're playing for the guy that recruited them, playing for the guy that changed their life forever, that probably got them a ticket to the pros. I thought it was awesome. And a guy is done when he's reverting back to his college days. And he talked about being at West Point and talked about, you battle each day, each mission until it's done.
Yeah.
And then you worry about the mission after. And, when Coach K's wife came out last night, I was like, he's done. Like this is the final hurrah for him. He's never put himself in the limelight. I think that he's doing that so much now, but the media is.
Yeah.
They kind of focus in on every single thing now with him. I hope, listen, even my bracket's busted already. Let Duke take it. like let Coach K go out. I hope they lift him up on their shoulders and take him out the right way because that guy deserves so much. I mean, you talk about all the great coaches, in basketball history, especially in the NCAA. And he is, to me, at the top of the list.
When they got together in Cameron Indoor Stadium for that last game, and you have all those Duke guys, and some were playing, but the magnitude of that talent. What kind of dawns on me, though, is the guy that is the guy in that room, like Christian Laettner. I think he's probably in that group, arguably is the best group of Dukies,
sure.
Right? Most decorated, 3 Final Fours in 4 years. That's got to be an amazing thing to be able to walk into that, right? Like, here's this room, and you've got $1 billion worth of NBA salary in the cap room, right? And like Christian Laettner's just like kind of chill. He's in the weed business now, and he's like half stoned, and he's the guy.
Well, I mean, think about how great that moment is. You and I think I do at least, and maybe nobody else does. But I had this conversation with my wife the other night. Like, imagine how great it would be if once in our life we got to walk into a room with everybody in the room was somebody we influenced. Coach K got to do that. Usually we get to do that through calling hours, and maybe our soul is hovering over the funeral. But Coach K got to do that. I dream of that moment that maybe someday, I walk into a gymnasium and it's packed with people that we've influenced positively along the way. I think as a coach, especially nowadays, it's so much harder because there's so much more pressure on the wins and the losses as opposed to the changes that you're creating over a student athlete or a particular person. For Coach K to walk in that room and everybody was there. I mean, probably not everybody, maybe 20% of the people that he's influenced that was there. That's got to be world changing. And I think that was a moment where he can look back on and say, that changed me as much as I changed him through the years.
I mean, it's great. Like, we hung some banners, but this is really freaking cool. Walsh actually was on Duke's schedule to play a preseason exhibition game October 31st of 2020. I called JY, my boy, my lifelong friend down at Walsh, and I was like, do I have any eligibility left? I was like, can I come be the ball boy? I was like, I'll do anything. So we were going. Like, we were obviously right. I've never been there. Now my little school is going to play there. Here's what I can say to that point. I went down to a basketball game this past winter. Brought my kids. JY's got his kids, and they're running around on the court together. We've actually crossed paths in travel baseball, which we both said we were never going to do. So that's a whole other story for another day. But our kids are running around, and then I'm probably the oldest ex-player in the room.
Okay.
And he has now, but there's these assistants and there's all these other guys that are coming through that were part of the program. This is at a small school, right? It's not Duke, small school. And they have kids, and they're all running around together. And I'm thinking to myself, this is really freaking cool. And I can only imagine like what might be going through his mind that he had this influence on all of us. And he's not that much older than me, but he is like a bigger brother to me too. Like, right, he's a mentor, he's a little bit older.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, this has got to be pretty cool, pretty gratifying to kind of sit back at this point to see this. And these guys are all doing good in life, raising families, good people. And so take that now to Duke.
Well, that's the thing. College is an interesting thing. Like, college is something I didn't want to do necessarily, but it was part of where I had to go to get to where I wanted to do later in life. College is interesting because I always think about it. High school is where you're placed. Like, you have no control over where you go to high school. When we go.
Right.
Now you have a little bit more because you can go, hey, I want to go here or here, and your parents apparently can get up and move and transfer. But the legit is you're placed in East Palestine, or you're placed in Louisville or Camel or wherever you are. You don't have a choice. Those kids that you're around are the kids that you're going up with, one way or the other. College, you get to pick. And I think that's what makes those college bonds so really, really great, is because everybody chose that place for a particular reason. Whatever that reason was, it was up to you personally. But everybody wound up there because you chose that place. And like, I know my baseball guys, being part of the baseball team was like being a fraternity.
Sure, absolutely. I was never going to join a fraternity. Although this is funny, Alpha Phi Alpha was on campus, and for those who did not know, this is a historically black fraternity.
Yeah.
And one of my buddies was like pledging, and they were running between classes. And he's like, "Run with me, Raldy." That was my nickname. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm pledging." He's like, "You got to come join the fraternity." I'm like, "Bro, first of all, they're paddling you. What are they going to do to me?" I was like, "That's not. I'm in a fraternity. Like, I'm on the basketball team. That's a fraternity."
That's it. It's 100%. Because at the end of the day, I'm not saying hazing, but you get a little bit of grief as a freshman, as you talked about. They try to steal your soul from your body, and they try to steal your will. But once you get that level, usually it's a trip of some sort. Like, our trip was down to Florida.
Yep.
When you come, it's a close-knit bond.
Yep.
And it's one that never leaves. And we won the President's Athletic Conference in 2005, which hard to believe how long ago that was. But you sit there and you go, I've got guys that are on group chats, on Facebook, and on our text message that we're planning things in the outings. And like you said, they all have kids now. We all have kids. We all have different worlds. But we take one moment a year to come together to celebrate a championship, to celebrate camaraderie, and to celebrate just us loving one another and being part of sports.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
This is awesome. Finally got to be able to get this together. DJ Yokley doing great things with sports in the area, giving coverage to high schools and kids that otherwise would not get that coverage. And, tune in. They're doing a great job. I'm watching all the YSU games. Obviously, like I said, we have a vested interest, but
sure.
We're dialing in, watching your coverage there as well, doing a great job. Thank you, everybody, for dropping on by today. And we're out, man. That's it.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.